Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This evening's video has no articles. The article I'm going to use is from here and from here. And I will talk about my experience in college here in the United States of America and in Romania. I went to college in both countries, and this video will be a video about my experience, and I would try to compare and contrast the experiences, good and bad. The first thing that I would point out is that, and I think one of the main differences that I experienced was that over there in Romania things were set, and your ability to go and voice your assessment of something was very limited, and that depended very much on the professor that you had, because the professor had the ability to tell you, you're just a student, sit down, because you had to stand up. So sit down. You're just a student. Do you have a PhD? No. Do you have a master's degree? No. Do you have a bachelor's degree? No. So you're nobody. So they would talk like this. It happened to me when I tried to make a point regarding a situation with literature, world literature versus Romanian literature, and so on. Here, on the other hand, I think, and I don't want to use this word in a wrong way, but I will use it and I explain. Too much freedom, liberty of expression. And I'm not talking about that should not be allowed. No. But here they allow you to say any kind of stupid thing you might come up with. And the professor will be kind enough and say, interesting. And you? And after a while you understand that what you said was so dumb that the professor was nice in not telling you, like the Romanian ones, you're dumb, shut up, sit down. So this is the main difference. What I think should be something in between, where they let you talk and they argue with you. Not fight, verbally fight. When I say argue, he brings arguments, you bring counter-arguments. And that's the way of teaching, the Socratic method. You ask questions, and then the other one's going to try to answer them, and then you ask another question, and then you say why. And with why, you and the professor will get closer to the truth. And you have to agree with that, because you're going to bring your arguments, counter-arguments. Well, this did not really happen over there. You couldn't insult, or not insult, you couldn't say, you know what, I think that this could be interpreted in a different way. The professor would not even listen to you. He would just say, you know what, who are you? No, you just learn it the way it is. And that's the way you're supposed to learn it. I don't accept any left or right. Maybe the professors I had were like this, but I didn't encounter much liberty. That was the main thing. The other thing that I observed here versus that was that here was some professors that I had political correctness. Over there it was not about political correctness whatsoever. So you can use the dictionary terms of certain behaviors or nouns or all that. Over here you had to be on the lookout to see, should I say this? If you did not know, as I was, and you are not really trained in that, you would say the way you learned the words. This behavior fits this term. Like for instance, I would say, I would use the word fat, referring to certain people that they were overweight. And then I was taught that actually that's rude. It was hard for me to get it. Why was it rude? Because that's that's the reality. And why is that rude? Because the person might feel offended. Well, if that person feels offended of her or his condition, he should try to change it. And if they can't, just live with it, and that's it. Well, you should use the words big boned or big, he's big. Well, for me, big means tall, not, But anyway, I had to, adjust, so I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And then I realized after a while that actually, wait a minute, you guys are not the police people of my speech. Why should I just, abide by your interpretation of facts? No, you are fat, you're fat. I'm not saying that to insult you. That's a word in a dictionary. And don't tell me to use that word. Why? Why do you think that's rude? I don't know, maybe I feel insulted because you call me Mr. or Miss or whatever you might call me or whatever. So anyway, there was one thing, political correctness. Another thing that was required here, what I saw, they would listen to you. They were listening to you, what you say, you would come with all this, but they would ask you, is when you were making, let's say, a paper, you were supposed to provide a work on something. And they would say, well, use only peer-reviewed sources. And what is that? That is this, where I came, in this, here. You were supposed to go into the library, online, whatever they had, intranet or how you want to call it. And then you had to go maybe face-to-face over there, and you have to look for peer-reviewed sources. They all had the same. If you would come with something a little bit outside of the peer-reviewed, not a little bit, outside of it, evidence, because it was not peer-reviewed, then peer-reviewed, it was not accepted. And I thought that it was kind of like very much limiting, they were limiting your ability to do research and use what other people agreed with that. But there are some other people who a little bit deviate, and they were still the same, they had the same titles, professors, teachers, whatever, as these ones. But these ones were the approved ones, those were not the approved ones. So that's another regimentation here. Another thing that I found in the United States was this, was multiple choice and true or false questions in the exams. I have never had anything like that in my all school years I had in Romania. Not in a grade school, not in high school, not in college, nothing. Why? Because for us over there, that is dumb. That is really, and it is, because it's just asks you or your brain to the easiest way of retrieving information, which is just pure memory, by giving you the answer in one of those 4 multiple choices. Because they were giving you the question and they would give you 4 or 5 multiple answers, and they said one of them, only one is true, not 2 or 3. So that would be like if you just forgot about it. Well, that was a good point about it, because there are certain things that you really don't remember. Another thing was true or false, 50%. Close your eyes and you do like this and you pass the exam. I found this very, very strange. Another thing was you were not required to learn dates. Maybe periods of time when a certain event occurred, but not the date. Where I come from, we started history in the fourth grade. Fourth. So you're about what, 10? Something like that. You are supposed to know the day, the month, and the year for an event. That's how you are supposed. If you missed one of these 3, the answer was not right. With 1 day, or 1 month, or 1 year. Was not partial credit. I've never had partial credit where I come from. I had good or bad. Now you assess if that's good or bad. Another thing that I observed here, I noticed here in college, was these guys, the professors, were not very knowledgeable. I could, how should I put it? I would overpower them with my knowledge. Well, I was not 18 when I came here. I knew more about many subjects. They were supposed to be the experts. And I realized I could assess how much they knew about certain subjects, and I was very scared because I said, these guys are teaching these guys. So I tell you, when I came here, I was not 18. So I was older than that when I went to college here. So you can say, well, you got some knowledge. There were PhDs, okay? Now I know what a PhD is, and I'm going to talk about that in a future video. How you get to be a PhD and what is to be an expert or an analyst. And I will make a video probably tonight because I'm a little bit on that side of my mood. Another thing that I observed in the United States was they were quoting movies. They were quoting movies. They were using movies to bring an argument, to bring that was an accepted argument in the conversation. And I had to explain, for instance, to a professor that you ask me to make a paper on this movie, and you probably want me to find this. But that's a movie written by one person or more than one person, the way they want it, a scriptwriter. They're human, and they can make a pig fly, can make a cow talk, they can make whatever they want. So how do you want me to assess that? This specific professor that I had canceled the assignment because of me. Because I said, I'm not going to do it. And I said, what? Why? And I said, because it's a movie. You can't ask me to analyze someone psychologically when that person makes contradictions, things that you don't find in real life. That character that is in that movie, you want me to analyze his psychological interactions and processes, mental processes, but he's created by another person who's not a psychiatrist or psychologist or anything like that. So there's a lot of contradictions. So I can't. I refuse to do that, and he canceled that. Then it's a lot of professors here are I don't want to say hacks, not the word. They're activists. They have an ideology, and you see it in class. Like, for instance, I had a professor, and she was a woman. She wanted us. She was the lesbian. I figured out later. She wanted us. It was in a history class, and it was the Second World War class, which I'm a little bit familiar with that, to say the least. And she wanted us to make a paper and bring it next week or whenever that was the next class about the issue of homosexuality, lesbians and gay. They say lesbian and gay, I say homosexuality, during the Second World War. And her point was that due to the proximity of women in the United States, because men went to fight the war in Europe, a lot of women became lesbians because of proximity. She wanted to make a point that's what her thing. She tried to make a point, and obviously I refused that, and she did not like me a bit. So I told her that I will not make this paper because I said this class, that is a Second World War class, I'm not going to talk about this non-existent super minor issue that you want us. I'm not going to do it, I said. Second World War was about something more than this issue. And she canceled that. And then she said, what is it about? Tell me. And I said, I told her, I want to talk about this. I said, no, I'm going to give you 1 hour, and you're going to be the professor for 1 hour. Oh my God, I thought I was in heaven. I went over there and I argued with everybody. Why? Because what I was saying over there was the other side of the story. Not necessarily the true story, but it was a different story. And other people here told me this and told me that. And they didn't like to for instance, to say that the Soviet Union was the ally of the United States in the Second World War. They were allies with the communist criminal Soviet Union. They did not like that a bit. They didn't like me to say, for instance, that when D-Day occurred, the Soviet Union already liberated the entire territory of Soviet Union, and they were coming to Berlin. So that was not even necessary. They didn't like that. They didn't like me saying that the Germans had about 10% on the West front and 90% on the East front. They didn't like that a bit. So these are facts. I'm not saying I'm not going to pull them out of my ass right now. You can verify that. So anyway, I'm saying that the professors were looking at movies as arguments, to make arguments. Remember that movie? Oh yeah, that movie, yeah. That's a movie. They didn't get it. And that told me the level of that professor. Now, when I went to college in Romania, I was much younger. So you can say, well, you were much uninformed. And probably, certainly, I don't want to say dumber. Because dumber comes from different. But I was, more immature, obviously, less read, and so on. But the professor that I met Maybe it would be 20% that I would say they were, I don't know, they're not ready, they're not good. Here, it was one. One that I admired and one that dominated the class. They knew exactly what he was doing. He was courageous, he had the knowledge, and he was a political, political philosophy teacher, professor, I'm sorry, with con-teacher over there, everybody. So, professor. He's still over there, and that was the only one. There was another one, but that fell when he told me that he was a sociology professor, old guy, which I admired to one point when he told me in front of the class, and we had a little bit on and off, and then I let him go. I don't want to embarrass him. I said, let him go. We're going to go after class, and you tell him, hey, you're an idiot. Here is the reality. And he checked, and he said, I didn't know that. We're talking about the Federal Reserve Bank. He thought that that is a federal institution, department, not a private bank. And I said, no, Mr. Kaplovitz, that was his name, Jewish. He said, I'm a socialist all my life. That's fine, man. You can do whatever you want to be. But he was like, I don't know, 70 or something. So I expected him to know that the Federal Reserve Bank is a private bank. And he, in front of the class, we had on and off. No, because it's federal. It's in the name. Like the, Antifa. It's in the name. They're against fascism. All right. What's her name? I can't remember who said that. Saki, I think, was. What? It's in the name. Or whatever. Maybe Cuomo. Or I can't. One of these weasels. So anyway, this is what happened. These people, I get only one out of how many professors I have. Maybe two. But a couple of it fail. The other one I think was, I can't remember his, Malzer. Arthur Malzer. You can find him right now. Michigan State University. Arthur Malzer. Fantastic guy. Fantastic guy. So, these were the big differences. Another difference was that in Romania, you didn't have to pay for your university. Here, you pay and you get your money, your diploma. So it's like a business. Here, university is a business. Over there, it's kind of not a business. They started with private university and so on, which become a business because they survive if there's students. The same here. And it's outrageous how much these guys ask for, how little information you get from these guys. Just so you know, here, I thought the level was very low, compared with over there in college. Now you can say, well, when you got here, you already knew a lot of stuff, or at least you were not an 18-year-old, whatever, just came from the... That's true. I was not impressed whatsoever, and I looked at it as a transaction. I give you the money, fast, give me that diploma. And that was it. And I got it very fast, in 3 years, with summa cum laude, which is with high honors, in 3 years. Fast. Anyway, and I paid for it. Did you hear me? I paid for it with my own money. And I don't ask for any handouts. But if they get back something, they should give me my money back. All right. Well, I will make more videos of this kind on another time regarding other subjects like what's an analyst, what's an expert, what's a PhD, and so on, because I have a lot of things to say. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.